So I'm going to give you 4 examples tonight of where Jesus himself performed miracles, but there was work involved with the people that got the miracle. Okay? First one, we're going to talk about the pool of Siloam. And I guarantee you, these stories are deeper than what you know. And I'm going to prove it to you. Is everybody familiar with the pool of Siloam? There's a blind man involved with this. Okay? This is a drawing of what they think it could have looked like. It was at the very end of the city, and it overlooked the Kidron Valley. So when you went to the pool of Siloam, it was right up against the city wall. They actually discovered this in 2004 and started excavations in 2009. And this is an actual picture of the stairs right here going down, and this would have been the water line. There's some people standing there, so it gives you an idea. And modern day Israel is up here. So that's how much time has taken and buried this pool. They were actually, I think they were digging for a transit system or something, and they came across these steps and figured, oh, there's something here. That's the problem you run into with Israel or Egypt or Rome. Anytime you try to build something, you find some ancient thing, and then you got to stop and excavate it. But they can't take it too far because there's buildings over here. But this would have been stretched out, and this is up against the city wall. So keep that in mind, because these people, the Romans, the Greeks, whenever they built things in Israel, they were grand. They were huge things. So we're going to read John 9, this story about the pool of Siloam. Now, as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that the works of God should be revealed in him. I must work the works, there's the word work again, of him who sent me while it is day, because the night is coming when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. This actually happened over the Feast of Hanukkah, which is why he said that. Everybody was busy lighting candles on the Hanukkahs, paying attention to the lights, and he's like, I'm the light of the world. Now when he said these things, he spit on the ground and made clay with saliva and anointed the guy's eyes, the eyes of the blind man, with the clay, and said to him, go wash in the pool of Siloam, which is translated sent. And so he went and washed and came back seeing. Okay? This man was born blind. He was born blind for a reason, for this particular reason. So think about this. God had set aside a particular person for his son to heal so God's power can be seen. Right? But the guy still had to work for it. God said, I'm going to use you for this, but you still have to work for it. You got to do something. You got to go wash in the pool that I told you to. Okay? So, and think, he was blind from birth, so he's used to not seeing anything. He doesn't have any reference, doesn't have any other thing to refer to. He didn't lose his sight, so therefore he wasn't sad that he forgot how to see. He had no reference. He didn't know what was going on. Right? So that right there is part of it too. This is a model in Israel of what the temple looked like at the time when Jesus was there. The temple's right there. Don't pay attention to the gigantic people. It's a model down to scale size, right? But this was huge. This whole platform right here is the temple platform. The courtyards are here. You know, you go in through the eastern gate, up through there, then you have the inner and outer courts. So this is where Jesus did a lot of teaching, up in here and on the steps right over here. Okay? This is where he was when he told the guy. That's where they were lighting the candles on the Temple Mount. This also place where there's a lot of water. They make sacrifices right here all the time, and they need water to wash the blood off. There's water access everywhere. He could have washed his eyes right there. But Jesus said, no, I don't want you to wash with this water. I want you to go to that pool down by the city wall. Okay? Here's another picture, the side view. Imagine these people aren't here, obviously. These are the south steps. So this is where Jesus taught a lot on these stairs. So that guy had to come from up here and make his way down the steps there with mud in his eyes. Now keep in mind, you ever had an eyelash on your eyeball? How much that hurts? This guy had grains of sand and spit on his eyeball. So even if he could perceive light, he was born blind, but we don't know if he could see light or not. You know, some blind people can see light and dark. You know, he made sure, I don't want you to see anything. I am going to completely block any vision, and I'm going to put granulars of dirt on your eyeball. And you are going to have to walk down these stairs, out these stairs, and make it all the way through this city. And I'll show you how far it was there. Okay, and there's an aqueduct right here, full of water. There's a bunch of houses right here. People had water. So this guy's situation got worse before it got better. Not only are you blind, now you're going to hurt. And that was a question Jesus was asking the guy, how bad do you want this? You're already used to this. You can live the rest of your life because you don't know any other way. How bad do you want this? And that guy had to question himself, do I want to stop and wash off right here just to end the pain? Or do I want to keep marching forward to see what I don't know is out there? Right? Because this was a revelation. Now, I'm going to show you a little video of us, two of them, walking the streets. Because not only is it's not a straight shot. It's a task getting down here anyway. And people were heading to the temple, so people were going that way, and he had to walk against the grain of people. So not only is his eyes hurting, he's completely blind. He has to fight against the crowd to the farthest place possible, passing up all these little buckets of water everywhere. So this is Erica and Geneva right here. These are what the city streets of Jerusalem look like. Now, obviously, they didn't have cars, but you can imagine a chariot, right? And they're compact. Markets are still there, okay? So I was walking with my camera up, trying to show just how narrow these streets actually are. What do you think? Hey, there's Geneva and Caroline.
Awesome.
Right? So imagine that. Let me show you another one. Hey. So this is through the Muslim quarter. Markets everywhere. People walking. And you can just imagine this blind guy trying to fight his way through more people than this, through these narrow streets. And then you'll see up here that the streets go off like this. They split into two. It's very confusing, even when you can see in the daylight. You know, you guys can testify how crowded this can get. And this isn't really that bad, but right there you can see, okay, where would I go? So he would probably be walking around asking people, which way is it to the pool? Right? And people might have been going, why do you need to go there? I got water here. And he would have had to say, no, I'm under instructions to work. Okay? This is a Google map. Here's the Temple Mount. There's the Pool of Siloam. Here's probably he could have taken this road here out of the way. It'd have been confusing. It's over 4,000 feet from the Temple Mount, which is almost a mile. Here's another picture. There's the Temple Mount. You can see many roads here. That right there is the aqueduct, full of water. There's bridges everywhere. And then once he got across this bridge, he'd have had to walk up the stairs and finally get in the pool. All with dirt in his eyes. Painful, completely blind, walking against the flow of people who were going the other way. And then he came back seeing. He did it. He obeyed. He worked. He became the miracle that he wanted. See how that works? Jesus asked him, without asking, how bad do you want this? You can use the status quo. You can stay in your own little comfort zone no matter how painful it is, or do you want to come out of it? That's how we get sometimes as people. Our situation might not be what we want, but we don't want to put the extra work for it to come out of it. We just get used to it. A couple things happen with this. Rabbinic law forbid mixing of water and dust on the Sabbath. That's from the Talmud. It's also forbidden to put saliva in a man's eyes. These are actual laws that the Pharisees came up with. And Jesus broke both of those right there. He said, I don't care about your man-made laws. I'm going to spit on the ground, I'm going to make mud, and I'm going to put it on this guy's eyes. And then I'm going to make him break the Sabbath day journey, which was 3,437 feet. So Jesus is like, if you want this, you have to break man's laws, obey me, fight against the crowd, fight through the darkness. Okay? Now think about that for just a second. Jesus broke two of the rules he had fulfilled in a messianic prophecy of Isaiah concerning the healing of the man born blind. Then he commanded the blind man to walk more than a Sabbath day journey to wash his eyes when water was readily available on the Temple Mount. He became the miracle that he needed. He worked for it. Okay?